The object of life is to play the money game. And the reason why you want to play the money game is you want to win the money game so you can buy freedom, right? And you can buy time. And you can do what you want. Money can't solve all your problems, but can definitely solve a lot of your money problems. And that will allow you to then focus on your energies on other things that your successful, forward-thinking mindset can achieve. The first half of my life, I was chasing money, right? I was chasing wealth. I was chasing this ability to have abundance. And then once you sort of achieve semblance of that, you're like, what's next, right? Is that all I want? And I realized that it's with just financial freedom, you're really only eating 20% of the pie. I wanted to eat the whole pie, right? I want all of it. I've seen some people who are wealthy. I've seen some people who are super healthy, but it's rare to see both. And then I thought it's even rarer to see someone who's actually content and happy. So I was like, how do I get all of it? If you're really a physician and you're just depending on your one stream of income, that may not be the most safest strategy. So I suggest, figuring out how to take your earned income, right, your W-2 income, and converting into portfolio or passive income. The goal is eventually, money while you sleep, money while you're sitting down watching TV, money while you're traveling all over the world, right? That's the goal. I can't count on how many people I come across that they've hit a certain financial number and they're very comfortable, but they're empty completely. There's no passion in their life. And so I really believe it's a sort of what I like to talk about, the 5 freedoms, Trevor, and it's trying to get all those freedoms, right? Time and finances and your health and vitality and having this beautiful, resilient mindset and potentially working from anywhere in the world, right? So it's living it all. There's been times where I'm like, is this all there is? Is there more? Or is there more in me that needs to come out? I work with so many doctors and, I'm a cardiologist myself and I'm surrounded by physicians and it's my tribe. And my tribe seems to get to a point where maybe it's in their 30s and early 40s, but they hit a major plateau. They've gotten good at their job. They're excellent at their job, in fact, and they're being fulfilled somewhat in the sense that they're serving their patients and they're taking care of their families, but they're sort of handcuffed in a way, the golden handcuffs, if you will.
See, what happens in the first part of your life is you don't have enough opportunities. So you say yes to everything. At some point, it flips. There's a tipping point in life. And so the second half of your life, what you're really doing is you need to learn to say no to almost everything and say yes to those just mighty few opportunities that literally are going to get you to where you want to go, right? That's your 80-20. And for those of you who don't know that 80-20, it's the Pareto principle, right? Italian economist and sort of science observer in the sort of the Renaissance time, observed that like only 20% of the inputs get you 80% of your results. As you guys know, progress equals happiness. With that said, I came up with this hell yes versus hell no mentality. If things are a hell yes, then I do it. If things are a maybe or I'm not sure, then that immediately becomes a no or even a hell no. So obligations, commitments that I'm not really that excited about, or, hang out with people or go to certain places or parties or just things just to maintain appearances. Life is too damn short. So there's no need for that. Again, if it's not a hell yes, make it a no.
In life, you need to envision what you want. And there's a process called visioneering, creative visualization, where, you do a mind map, you do a vision board, you write out in your journal, how do you want your life to be? And having that vision is essentially you're creating the future before it happens. And you're sending that out into the universe, you're sending it to the world, you're declaring what you want, and your subconscious mind starts working, your reticular activating system starts working, and you start manifesting that. And it's not airy-fairy. It's more like, you're more attuned to certain things because the destination is clear, right? Clarity creates power. This is literally the same framework used by Oprah, by Elon Musk, by Jeff Bezos, Tony Robbins, a lot of the startups, Sarah Blakely, like all these people use this one philosophy, this one strategy. I learned this from one of my mentors, Craig Ballantyne, and another mentor, Mark Ford. They said the secret to success is this: it's establishing a singular goal in life and then adhering to a hyper-focused routine. It means giving up at least until your primary goals are achieved, all other goals and ambitions. To be great, guys, you literally have to let go of much of what's going on in your life and become monomaniacally focused on this thing that if you did it excellently, better than most people in the world, it would achieve outsized returns, exponential returns. Guys, most successful people don't live a balanced life. They live what we call a counterbalanced life, meaning they're pursuing their one thing, whatever that is, but they're making sure that the other things, that the 3 or 4 other things that they find important in their life are not going to the crapper. They're balancing it. So for me, for example, that's, my family, my health, my companies, my objectives, right? Those are the big 3, my energy and, my vitality. So you want to not sacrifice those things, because if you sacrifice those, you'll derail everything. As you expand your life, you'll notice that your new, what would used to be a 10 is now your new 7. And now you're like, all right, how do I get to that next level of growth? And so it's continuously expanding this pie. So it's larger and larger and larger, because you're expanding your capabilities, your skill sets, your knowledge, your interest, your connections, right? Your wealth, all of this will continue to expand. And so it's like a fun game in life where you're expanding this pie. Ideally, you want to have it relatively balanced. I remember I was driving a Honda Civic for many years in my training. I was like, no, this car doesn't represent my personality and who I am. And then I finally got my dream car. So like, it can be as simple as that. Or you could be, hey, look, this house is great. We've loved it, but now we're ready for that next house, right? And the environment is a good one. So you want to rank that from 0 to 10. The definition of financial independence is different than financial freedom, is different than financial abundance. But let's start with independence. I would say independence is you have enough money to cover your basic expenses. I think that's a really simple definition, and may hold true for us. You can essentially cover your routine expenses. I'm not saying like if a trip comes along, some unexpected major expense, that's probably different, and you may have a storehouse of money for that. But your day-to-day routine expenses is covered through cash flow, and it's preferably passive in nature, right? Where you potentially do not have to work for that cash flow, and it's still covered. But again, I say, why strive for independence? Strive for wealth and truly abundance, where you can write a check to your favorite charity for 50K and not even sweat. Abundance is really not a bank amount in your account. It's not how many cars you own, how many homes you own, what kind of watches you own. Abundance is really a mindset. Feeling abundant, doing abundant things, attracting abundance and wealth to you is really that mindset. And so cultivating that mindset, and it's really about certain principles of wealth. If you follow these principles, anyone on this earth can be wealthy. And what I encourage people to do is hang around wealthy people, abundant people, see how they talk, see how they feel, see what they do. And in reality, money is not money. Money is a currency, and currency, current, the word current is electricity, right? It's energy, it's flow. And a lot of people make money into something as like a rare, scarce item that needs to be hoarded. But in fact, it should be shared, it should be spread. And the more money flows, and I use the word velocity of money, the more you have velocity of money, the more likely you'll accumulate it more. And as you give money away and you give wealth and flow and away toward things that you believe in, toward causes, toward helping others, inevitably it flows right back to you, most likely in even greater amounts. Also, if money is also considered value, how much value are you adding to the world in order for you to gain more wealth and money? So these are some of the concepts I have in terms of the mindset.